Hello and welcome back to CrossViews. We had a discussion so far on Scotland, what is going to happen on the 18th, and also the outskirts of Scottish elections or the referendum, in fact. So we have Tracy Edwards, T.U. Sainan and Aru Sivanathan here in the studio. So let's go back. There is an interesting question while we were in break. There was a question came from one of the callers called Saren, and he was talking about currency. And in fact, as you know, Tracy, that Scotland is more connected to the US in some ways in terms of rock music, in terms of so much of things. And the caller is asking if there is no sterling, no euros, Scottish pounds is not really viable. What about an option as dollars? Will Scottish people accept dollars as it's a strong currency? I think Arjuna would actually agree. So that's the question he's posting.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think that's an interesting question, and I don't know if I've got the answer to that, to be honest. I'm not quite sure about American currency. I mean, America's got their problems as well, haven't they? They've I think they've had the first city in the world, Detroit, had to declare itself bankrupt, and there's a lot of problems in America as well, isn't there? I think there's problems generally, isn't there? I think that is the problem. Wherever you go, there's issues in terms of the world's economy. So yeah, I don't know. Perhaps you might be able to answer that. But
do you want to
just briefly? The question whether it's a currency union we are talking about. We know that Arjuna knows that the so-called currency union based on euro was almost a failure. It's failing at the moment. So I mean, if you talk about currency union somehow with the dollar, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So, but basically, the currency, how it's regulated is different. How it's automatically can be valued, and so on and so forth, according to the international relations and so on, under capitalist basis. But the problem is that the Scottish people, if it is an yes vote, they can decide what kind of a name they can choose. It doesn't matter. It can be a Scottish dollar or Scottish pound. Doesn't matter what it is, but it will be regulated. But it's a scaremongering about how the Scottish will have this and that and so on. It's irrelevant in terms of, look at the yen, for example. Japanese currency still exists with this massively devaluation need to take place. But there is a case that the dollar, for example, if the Chinese devalue it, and they get rid of the, in terms of massive, if they go for it, and the dollar will crash down. Okay, so it's all fluid. The currency market, you cannot decisively talk about how this way and that way and etc.
Okay, let's. I've just got that call that answers. That's fine. Aru, just going back, they are. I mean, all the major Westminster parties are actually presenting devolution max argument. So what this devolution max would be, what it entails, like what we have now is a kind of a parliament, Scottish Parliament, and what will be that max would be?
I would certainly like to see tax raising powers given to the parliaments or the legislative assemblies of the home countries. I think that would be very useful. It happens in the United States. It happens in many states across the world, states that are part of countries where you have tax raising powers, and it would be very useful if Scotland, in that sense, can also have tax raising powers. It'll also help shrink the size of Westminster government, and I'm always in favour of small government. We need a smaller government, less taxation, and tax raising powers devolved to the home country's legislative assemblies. That is a very important conservative principle. So in that sense, I think...
So that's going to be the only aspect in terms of...
Well, that is one aspect. Now, I'm not a constitutional expert, so I'm not going to sit down here and profess. But certainly, that is one element of devolution max that I would like to see, where Scotland, along with other home countries,
okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to move on fast. Tracy, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you're saying that, we'll give you Devo Max, and we'll maybe give you some bits and pieces in terms of being able to fiddle about with your tax system. Well, why not just go the whole hog? Why not just let us decide what we wanted? Why not just give us independence and just let us decide how to run things our own way? Why do we have to be run by a clique at the top?
Okay, let me come back with another question. Let me come back with another question to you, Tracy. Now, today we saw arguments from SNP, probably the whole the Yes campaigners, that if there is a no vote on Thursday, there will be another referendum. What is this all about?
Well, I don't know. I haven't read that. I've not. Haven't.
So are you saying that now? Why the reason I'm asking is, are you saying that it's going to be a referendum after referendum until you get a yes?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think there's a process at play here, isn't there? I think whichever way it goes, if it is a no vote, I think it'll be close anyway. But if it is a no vote, you're still going to have. I mean, there's people that are turning up to meetings, 500 people at a time in housing schemes across Scotland to hear a socialist case for Scottish independence. So it's really about the process that's beginning to take place now. I don't have any illusions in parliamentary democracy. I mean, it's, you know, Westminster, you know, we've still got the House of Lords, which is an unelected cabal of privilege. So I think that, you know, I think that things are changing, and it's the process rather than the whether it should be another vote or not.
So, Sainan, I'm going to come to you with another question, which is about if it goes yes on Thursday, how will others, like the other nations who are fighting for independence, will actually perceive or look at this, or how the arguments will grow across the globe? What is your perspective on this?
They will gain enormous confidence if there is going to be an yes vote. There will be enormous confidence. It will be a boost to a lot of campaigns, or a lot of people who are fighting for their national rights. They will always, everybody is going to say, look, we deserve referendum too. But it's not just a question about just one referendum and then you decide. You look at, for example, Ireland. The Irish people voted and said, we don't want to be part of this zero currency union. But what did they do? Ignored and then held another referendum. Yeah. So when it comes to for your maintaining your own wealth, tiny elites, then it's okay. You can change the constitution. You can do anything. When it comes to us, you just have one chance and that's it.
That applies to SNP as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's applied to SNP as well. You can't just have just one chance and that's it. We close the door for you. We can't accept that. Of course, it doesn't work in a democratic way like that.
Okay. I'm going to actually run through quickly. I need a 30-second summary from each of you. So I'm going to actually start from Aru because she started first, so I'm going to conclude from you. So if you just get 30-second max because I have to finish.
I think it's very important that the parallels between the Tamil and the Scottish questions here are very different. One is framed in a public services argument. The other one is clearly Tamils having to endure egregious discrimination, genocide, ethnocide, and there is no equivalence. I think that's the first distinction we need to draw. The second thing is that this is all about public services. And if the SNP cannot accept the people's verdict, and it repudiates this, it's not democratic. And I think people who want bigger public services should make the case democratically, respecting the opinion of the majority of Scottish people whom I feel will actually vote no and want to stay part of the United Kingdom.
Sainan.
So genie is out of the bottle, so to speak. Whatever the outcome is, things have changed quite a lot in Scotland forever. And if there is a defeat for the Yes campaign, it will be very close. So imagine those number of people registered at the last minute, young people with passion. They're not going to just take it straight away. So, of course, in itself, that particular campaign forced the English establishment to give concession. They're not talking about the revolution all giving these concessions before this particular thing. So, in itself, that's one of the lessons for the Tamils.
Neither was the Scottish establishment. Neither was the Scottish establishment.
Neither was the Scottish establishment. Yes, absolutely, you're correct. The SNP, we don't have any illusion in them. And after the yes vote, after the yes vote, there will be a struggle. There will be a struggle to get what they are really voting for. So absolutely, you know, we will be behind. We'll be part of that struggle. But the thing is this: that one of the lessons is that the Tory party, the capitalist parties across the world have proved one thing time and time again. They don't stand along with the people, the working people, when it comes to their own rights and services and so on. But finally, this is, if there is going to be an yes vote, it will be a much more blow, worse than losing Falkland for the establishment.
Okay, Tracy.
Well, it's a fantastic time to be Scottish. I'm really proud to be Scottish at the moment, and I'm really proud of my country in terms of the way that the people are engaging with the debate. I'm hoping it's going to be a yes vote. I think it will be absolutely fantastic, and I think that it will build confidence internationally to other people. And And I would urge everyone who's watching this to take an interest in it and talk to people you know who are Scottish. Don't believe the media bias, don't believe the project fear, and hopefully we're on our way to a more fairer and equal society in
Well,
Scotland.
someone has lived and studied in Scotland.
So that's from us today. We conclude CrossViews today with distinguished panelists that we have Aru Sivanathan, T.U. Sainan and Tracy Edwards here. Thank you very much for watching this program. Whatever happens on the 19th morning, on the 19th morning, the whole union, or whole nation, the whole world is going to wake up to a different landscape. It can be a yes vote or no vote. Things are going to change. It's going to affect everybody's life. So thank you very much for watching this program. This is the first ever programs in this TBM television channel. Hope send your views, comments. That will actually help us to establish this program and continue this program. Thank you very much. Thank you and goodbye.